Reshma Deendial, and I'll be teaching grade level 4. Subject area Social Studies, and the topic will be Nile River Valley. Content English Language Arts History. Learning outcomes: after listening to the history of the Nile River Valley, students will be able to use their notes to summarize and explain 5 key points of the contributions made to the Nile River Valley people. Objectives: Standard 1, Language for Information and Understanding, Elementary Listening and Reading. Standard 3, Language for Critical Analysis and Evaluation. Standard 2, World History. Materials needed: response journals, markers, poster boards, and map. Procedure: students will listen to the ELA lesson, which I will read to them, consisting of an introduction, history and significance, description and location, base irrigation, the Nile transport system, the Wild Nile, and conclusion. The sources I will get for information are from these 2 websites listed, and a book, National Geographic Reading Expeditions, World Regions, Africa. Next, students will sit in groups of 3 and given large pieces of poster board to write one important fact about the Nile River with assigned color markers given by me. The colors will be red, blue, and green, so each group knows what they wrote after rotating the poster boards. They will be pre-labeled with these questions: who used the Nile River? What was it used for? And why was it important for the people to use it? All 3 of these questions will be posted on 3 posters. Anticipated responses from students may be: the people that lived there were Egyptians. It was used for transportation by using boats to go across the water. It was used to transport goods across the river. It was important because people got their food by transportation, and it was also used for communication back and forth. Next, I will tell students to answer the questions by passing the poster board to the next group clockwise, and repeat the same steps until all 3 groups have stated their answers with their group color of their markers. I will take the posters and post them up on the side of the chalkboard, leaving room for possible unanswered questions, which I will provide. Students will remember what they have previously written by the color of their marker given to each group. Next, I will already have put up questions on the board, which will lead the discussion by asking students to answer these questions that he or she will write on the chalkboard. Next, I will ask the students questions and write the answers on the board, and if they missed any answers to any questions, I will go back to the reading and read it, and have students get a second chance to answer them. I will have to write these answers in their notebooks. At the end of the activity, students should have accumulated more facts than they began with. Next, I will ask students as a class to answer these questions, and if one group doesn't have an answer, they can possibly add answers to their notebooks. Where is the Nile located? Anticipated response may be Egypt. How long is the Nile River? Anticipated response: 5,884 kilometers, or 3,470 miles long. What countries does the Nile River flow to? Anticipated response: it flows through Uganda, Sudan, Egypt, into the Mediterranean Sea. Is it the longest river in the world? Yes, it is the longest river in the world. What color sediment did the river leave behind when it flooded the lands? Anticipated response may be: the sediment was black. What did the Egyptians call the river? Anticipated response: maybe they called it ore, meaning black. What kind of life did the Nile have? Anticipated response: some wildlife the Nile River had were hippos, crocodiles, lions, a bird called pied kingfisher, and the Nile Valley sunbird. What did the earliest irrigation depend on? Anticipated response may be: it depended on a yearly flooding of the Nile. What was basin irrigation, and why was it important? It is the river's high water, complete with canals, water retained by dikes, and it was important to keep the lands fertile when there were no floods. Very important. The Egyptians were the first to develop what in order to cultivate agriculture? They were the first to develop the plow to cultivate agriculture. Interesting fact. Next, I will pass out a model of map of Egypt to each group labeled with Egypt's cities, Red Sea and Mediterranean Sea, surrounding Egypt. Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea, Nile River Valley going through in the green. I will ask students to draw their own map of Egypt and color it, and the Nile River in Egypt, label the cities and seas surrounding it using this as a model. As a closing activity, I will ask students, did you like this activity? Anticipate a response with me. Writing answers by giving each group a turn made it fun to learn more about the Nile River. It was fun to write answers on poster boards. I liked working in groups and writing with markers. What new facts have you learned about the Nile? After we had a group discussion, they use it for communication with people. What were some contributions the Nile River made to the Nile River Valley people, and how did it help them? Anticipated responses may be they use boats for transportation, and we do the same thing here for cruises and trading with other countries around the world. They ate fish from the Nile River as food, and we do the same thing in our country. How has it helped you? Anticipated responses. It helped me to remember because working together to figure out the facts helped. I liked that we went over our answers in class because it helped to remember what we missed when we were writing down answers in our groups. The assessment here at the end of the lesson will be, I would tell students to write a summary in their response journals. What were the 5 contributions the Nile River made it to the Nile River Valley and people? How did it help them? Students may use their notes from the ELA lesson done in class. This goes into the next part of my lesson, which is very important. It's called the concept web, and it is multidisciplinary integration, showing how each discipline integrates into the other, stemming from one big theme, the Nile River. From the Nile River, it's social studies, but it also connects to science, art, language arts, music, and math. As you can see here, there's in the blue are 2 activities stemming out from each subject. And all subjects connect to one main theme, the Nile River, which makes it interesting for kids to learn one subject if they like one subject more than the other. Two activities from science are, in a science journal, write a summary about which object can float or not. Second, test boats for sturdiness by making clay ones and dropping marbles on it. Draw a picture of the instruments that the Nile River Valley people played. For art, draw a picture of the Nile River. Second activity for art. Social studies, learn about the history of pharaohs in ancient Egypt. Learn about animals at this website. Go online and look for facts on food, culture, and clothing of the Nile River people. Write a letter home as an explorer visiting the Nile River Valley. That's language arts. Read and learn 20 facts about the Nile River from this website. It also has the same activity to social studies, writing home as an explorer visiting Nile River. Music. Find some names of some songs that were sung in ancient Egypt at kingtutshop.com. Math. Make charts with how many boats float and how many of them sink. Adding to calculate the distance from Nile River into Egypt into Sudan. If you can see here, all these subjects connect into one big theme, the Nile River social studies theme. It stems to science, art, social studies, music, math, which integrates and make learning fun for children, whether they liked one subject more or not, or they might end up liking all because of integrating one big theme to spark their interest. I hope you enjoyed this integration and my lesson. Thank you.